You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to the only place worth being in London, nay Britain. Visit of Luton Town, big time football comes to Millwall, comes to Coldblow Lane, comes to South Bermondsey, wherever else you like. Good Friday afternoon, early kick-off thanks to the powers that be at Sky TV. Huge situation listeners, Millwall in 5th, 61 points, Luton Town in 4th on 67 points. This will be a massive opportunity to get some momentum behind the Lions. Playoff run, will it be drama or disaster? Will it be climax or calamity? We're going to find out over the next 7 games, including this one this afternoon. Your Lions team, this crucial fixture sees 2 changes in actual fact. In goal we've got Jules Long, back line is Murray Wallace, Jake Cooper, the returning Sean Hutchinson in place of Charlie Cresswell's unfortunately injured now, Danny Mack, the defensive 2, Ryan Leonard, Jules Saville. The attacking 3, surprisingly for some, includes Oliver Burke, return of Vogel, Sammer and Zian Fleming, the Bermondsey Bergkamp. Up front, of course, Tom Bradshaw, looking at his 3rd TV hat-trick potentially of the season. The season's denouement beckons, dear listeners. It's a sellout, it is chaotic outside. I've managed to get myself into the ground. I don't think we're really geared up for the big time, listeners. I'm going to let you in on a little secret there. I really don't think the Premier League and Millwall will combine terribly easily. I did manage to get myself into the ground in the end, as you will have gathered. 2 games over the Easter weekend for the Lions. Obviously Luton this afternoon, then we're away to Hull City on Easter Monday. Let's hope we're not crucified this afternoon and resurrecting the season on Monday, listeners. Boom, boom. Luton manager Rob Edwards says they don't come much more difficult than Millwall away, he says. Place is packed. Real buzz of excitement around the den. Any Millwall fan of very standing, or anything more than 1 or 2 seasons standing, knows that can go 1 or 2 ways. You know what I mean by that, listeners. Let's hope it goes favourably for us this afternoon. Huge noise inside the ground right now. Rob Edwards from Luton says there's no room to be sloppy this afternoon. No room for us to be sloppy either, for that matter. Luton this afternoon wearing white shirts and looks like black shorts. Mill, of course, in dark blue and white. Beautiful sunny afternoon in South Bermondsey. It's on the cool side of a winter's day. Spring day, I suppose, just about. But the sun is bathing the den in a beatific, wonderful sunshine. I've been looking forward to this all week, haven't you, listeners? I must admit, I felt nervous. Strange business now. Luton are lined up on the centre circle. What's all this about? They're going to collectively take the knee. They'll look like a West End troupe. What is this? Millwall lined up to kick off. Luton lined up on the centre circle, arm in arm. Very weird. I thought they were going to take a collective knee, but they didn't. Well, we're ready to go now. Lions will be attacking the away end in the first half in accordance with the dictums of the Venerable Bede, writing in 9th century Anglo-Saxon England. And away we go. Vogel Sammer's playing on the left. Burke is taking position on the right. I was going to say that I had trouble getting off to sleep last night and I nearly dropped the phrase tossing and turning into my dialogue, but that has double entendre meaning, so I won't say that, listeners. But you know what I mean. It's been a week of anticipation after that excellent draw up there at the Hawthorns last Saturday, 0-0. But this is a huge fixture, make no mistake. It won't end our chances if we get beat this afternoon. We obviously 3 points if we get the win will be a massive boost. Give us momentum. This is a free kick on the halfway line. 1 minute in, Murray Wallace is going to take it, left side of the halfway line. The big guns have gone forwards. Floated deep, it's towards Tom Bradshaw. It's going to be hoofed away. It's going to come all the way back to Murray Wallace. Another chance to dink it back in. He does go for it this time. This time it'll be Oliver Burke getting up. It's going to run away to a Luton defender and away. Both sides obviously described as the unfashionable playoff contenders. for obvious reasons. This is Zian Fleming through to Oliver Burke, who just couldn't bring it under control. Little looping forward ball, 1 minute, just too short of 2 minutes there. That was a moment. Oliver Burke just couldn't bring that ball under his control. Some might feel he should have done. Harsher judges than I, dear listeners. Early chance there for the Lions. Goes begging. This is the third full house, I think I read, of the season. It would be Sheffield was a full house. I think it was Sunderland, the full house. This is a full house this afternoon. Presumably that's going to be in the 18,500 zone. Certainly looked like a fair old travelling support for Luton. So yeah, Charlie Cresswell clearly injured this afternoon. They were scanning for a fractured eye socket after that late clash up there at West Brom. Apparently the swelling around the eye socket was making the scan very difficult. So the decision for him to be out of today's game was, I imagine, was taken for him by a combination of Leeds United, his parent club, and the club's medical staff. I couldn't see him playing so soon after fracturing your eye socket. You know, it'd be a big ask. I know the boy probably would have wanted to with a mask, but it made little sense. This is Luton now, come down the right side. There's a cross into the near post. That's headed clear. It's going to go for a throw in Luton. 5 minutes, come to 6 minutes. The interviews with Gary Rowett said that it's probably the end of Charlie Cresswell's season. And I would imagine it would be realistic. We do have enough cover to get us through the crucial games. He's been a huge contributor to our excellent season so far. And obviously we'll see what happens from here. But shame for the boy. 11 minutes in, it's a Millwall free kick on the right this side. Murray Wallace to take again, just inside her own half, just a couple of yards inside on the right side of the centre line. It's lofted forwards. This is towards Sean Hutchinson. It bounces down, it falls almost into the path of Sean Hutchinson. Bouncing around, little melee there. It's cleared away. It's now rightwards. This is Vogel Sammer, just cleared from his feet. This is George Saville now, listeners. Saville gets clattered. Free kick Millwall. Coming to us all towards 12 minutes. Oliver Burke wins a good header there from that forward pass from George Long. This is Vogel Sammer, finds Fleming just inside him on the left side. Vogie now operating as a winger, so to speak. Into Tom Bradshaw, he takes, can he turn? He can. It's trying to go for the near post, ambitious, but worth a go. It's gone for a goal kick. 14 minutes into the game, listeners. It's been pretty bright from Millwall so far. Best chance, I suppose you'd say, was that early one for Oliver Burke, but otherwise we've been trying to get forwards and we're looking to play with some vim. Jules Honeyman warming up down below us. I think he's harshly dropped today. I suppose it's for Oliver Burke to prove his worth and seize his chance here, but Honeyman will feel himself hard done by, in my opinion. He played well up at West Brom. Maybe it's horses for courses in Gary Rowett's mind. That sounds like a prog rock track, doesn't it? Horses for courses in Gary Rowett's mind. Like a 15-minute synthesizer solo. The reverse fixture, of course, was on TV. I don't know why Sky are obsessed with Mill versus Luton as a TV fixture. That was a 2-2 draw. Didn't we have established a 2-0 lead up there and gave it away? Finished up hanging on slightly at Kenilworth Road. Murray Wallace now is going to lump it down the channel for Tom Bradshaw. It's a well-placed ball. Bradshaw chasing it down. He's through on goal. Can he do? Fired into the goalkeeper. Corner. There was a strong case for a penalty there. I thought he was going to take it through. Just pushed wide left slightly. Fired it in at the goalkeeper. Batted it round for a left-sided corner. He was certainly obstructed there as he went through. Maybe not enough for this referee to give a penalty on. He seems a very laissez-faire referee, listeners. I like to get a bit of French in my shows. Learn French with Nick. Laissez-faire. Left-sided corner, George Saville or Georges Saville. In it comes. It's a deep one towards the centre spot. It's towards Cooper. It's headed away from him at the last. The 4 will clear. Ticking towards 22 minutes. Ball's just stuck in midfield at the moment, listeners. It's been a pretty bright start by Millwall. As we said earlier on, best chance of the half so far falling to Oliver Burke in front of goal when he couldn't bring it under control. Otherwise, we've pressed forwards trying to look to play the ball and zip it about. No clear-cut chances spring to mind for Luton so far. I had to laugh, listeners. I've already made the point we're not really geared up for the big time, and obviously it's a full house today, so having managed to clamber my way in through the crowds downstairs here in the west stand, I thought I'd go and take my an ablution before the game. It was like an opium den in there, listeners. Absolute opium den. This is Danny Mack going down the right side there, 23.5 minutes, but it is cleared by Luton. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a smoker, so what do I know about such matters? But blimey, you've got to be desperate for a fag to stand around in the West Upper toilets. And some seem to like it. It's beyond me. Ball breaks, Ian Fleming. Burke. Surging down the right side, he's got a man in front of him, what can he do? He takes him on. They're going to get through. That shot is blocked, it's gone for a right-sided corner. A little bit of pace there, that's why he's in the side, dear listeners. Moments like that. Nice little break there, Millwall. 24.5 minutes. Right-sided corner now. Every now and again with Oliver Burke, you just get a sense. I get a sense as to why the likes of RB Leipzig paid silly money for him, and others have as well. Every now and again being the operative word, doing all the heavy lifting in that phrase. 25 minutes then, right-sided corner. Vogelsammer to take with his contract extension zipped up in his back pocket. In his lederhosen. In it comes, it's into the centre, curling away. It hit the head of Tom Bradshaw, but it was going away from him, unfortunately. Good work by Oliver Burke there. Good work, shoulder to shoulder. That's more like it, Oliver Burke. And then a poor ball by... Ogie through on goal there, being pulled back quite clearly. Almost managed to push his way past the defender there. Good a moment there. I thought he was being pulled, but referee's given nothing. Comes towards 27 minutes. Here comes Murray Wallace down the left side. Huge noise inside the den, dear listeners. As you can gather, we're going backwards, unfortunately. Joel Saville now finds Vogie. Nothing given, he was yanked back there by the 32. The crowd are not happy with that. Bit more of a to and fro to the game now. That's a poor ball hit by Danny Mack. Gives the 9 the ball free on the edge of the penalty area. Shot miles wide. This must have taken a deflection. It's gone for a right-sided corner. Right-sided corner, it's a deep one. It's headed clear. This should be, no, it's gone to a white shirt over there. They're still in possession on the left side now. There's a cross, deep. Ball back across the 6-yard box there. There was a little moment where my heart skipped a beat, listeners. I can't afford to do that. Throw-in, finds Ian Fleming. He's got Ryan Nedder. Would he have a go? No, he's... Oh, the shot was on target and the goalkeeper to get down low to bat it round. That was going in the bottom left corner. Daisy cutter. Left-sided corner. It's a deep one. It's gone back to the halfway line. It's headed in. Murray Wallace puts it kind of nowhere, really. It's another variation. I suppose we're trying to get away from being predictable with some of these routines, and I applaud that. But we saw a couple of routines up at West Brom trying to achieve the same end that went nowhere. On the bench this afternoon, I haven't read out our substitutes, listeners. It's great to see Billy Mitchell back on the bench. We've got Bielkowski, Mitchell, Malone, Shackleton, Honeyman, Essay, and Duncan Watmore. I thought it was very disappointing up there at West Brom. Maybe he's an impact sub in some way. I think Oliver Burke has certainly looked effective so far in this half. His direct replacement, I suppose. Great to see Roman Essay get some action as well. This is a free kick, long ball falls from Murray Wallace towards Sean Hutchinson. It's bouncing around and cleared. Back to Murray. What can he do? He lumps it in again. Finds Tom Bradshaw. Just couldn't bring it under control. A little moment there. 38 minutes. Lumped forwards. It's going to be Cooper gets under. There's offside. It should do us. No, it's half time. It's Millwall 0. Luton Town 0. Bright start to the half by Millwall. Slightly gone off that boil as the half's gone along. I think maybe nerves and pressure and so on and so forth. But certainly from both sides, really, it's a decent situation to be in at half time. Best chance to half, obviously, that one for Berg early on. Anyway, Millwall 0, Luton Town 0.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Teams are entering the arena for the second half. No changes, I believe, certainly from the Millwall perspective. Some debate online as to whether the referee is a good referee or a bad referee. He's letting it go. Take your pick, really, as to whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Some days it works in our favour, and other days it doesn't. Millwall will be attacking the Coldblow Lane in the second half, as per the dictums of the Venerable Bede. Luton will be attacking their away end. And away we go, dear listeners. Big second half from Millwall. Best chance of the game really was that one that fell to Oliver Burke early doors. Since then we've had moments of attractive play, shall we call it. Little opportunities here and there, but nothing really clear cut. Luton, I suppose you'd argue, have done a good job of taking some of the sting out of the game as it's gone along. Certainly taken the crowd down a notch or two from that early phase. Anyway, long 45 minutes of action yet to go. I suppose arguably both sides would settle for this result right now if that were an option. What a strange game it would be if that were an option, that it suited you to get a point and you could just say at half time, well, shall we call it quits there, Mr. Edwards? And he said yes. Done deal. But such an option is not available, listeners. It is therefore stuff and nonsense to even discuss it. This is Luton now. Danny Mack beaten now, coming down the left side. This is the 45 at the byline. It's going to go for a left-sided corner, 49 minutes. It's the 45 to take it. Mill need to be switched on. I think I say that in every show now, listeners, don't I? You'll have to think of some other way to put it to keep you interested in listening. In comes the cross. It's headed clear by Bradshaw. Mill crowd trying to get behind the Lions. As I said earlier on, I think Luton have done a decent job as the first half wore on of taking some of the sting out of our play. They'll be looking for the one chance that puts them in front, of course. Equally, one chance could be enough for us, without getting all philosophical about things. Eric Morecambe used to support Luton for some strange reason. I'd imagine he was born in Morecambe, but I never quite worked out why he supported Luton Town. He was on the board of directors, I seem to recall, as a kid. Huge comedy stars for the 70s, for any younger listeners who don't know Morecambe and Myers were. He always used to manage to get Luton on their comedy sketches somehow, didn't he? Well, recall the one with Glenda Jackson, where the Roman centurion gets Luton on his SPQR banner. I'm probably prattling away for absolute nonsense for a whole generation. Don't know what I'm on about. Danny Mack gets clipped. This is Burke. Free kick there. Referee waited for the advantage. Danny Mack got clipped as he was trying to bring it under control. Tried to work a 1-2 with Vogelsammer, I think that was. 57 minutes, listeners. It's going to be Saville. Ryan Leonard standing over it. Hutchinson's gone forwards. The big guns. Ticking towards 58 minutes now. Whilst they set themselves for this free kick. Feints it. Did he mean that or not? I don't know. Chips it forwards. Little header onto the roof of the net there. I couldn't see who that was. That might have been Murray Wallace. Looping header onto the roof of the net. 58.5 minutes. Ball forwards from Danny Mack. Vogelsammer's chased it through. He's through on goal. What can he do? Ran it through, just couldn't get it under control. There was a moment I thought he was through on goal there, but he just couldn't seem to get the ball from under his feet. 59 minutes, another opportunity in truth. That's got to go down as a chance to get yourself into that position and then not really take advantage of it is a bit reprehensible. Second decent chance really from Millwall. I got that Burke chance in the first half, and then I'd really got to put that down as an error on Vogelsammer because he just couldn't seem to get the ball under his control there. Chopping and changing, more Sky TV chopping and changing. Of course, this is the second to final game of the season up at Blackpool's now been moved to a Friday night 8 p.m. kick-off. Pretty short notice, but that's Sky Television's contractual right to do that. A lot of people have to go at the club. It isn't the club's decision at all, but fair play to Millwall for making coach travel subsidised for that one. I think also for the Wigan game, actually. I think they're running cheap supporters coaches to get up to Wigan the week before on the 22nd and then now the 28th for Friday night for Blackpool. A lot of people will have booked hotels though. It is a liberty, but what can you do? This is the contract that funds the modern game, unfortunately. It's not going to change anytime soon, dear listeners. But yeah, so the 29th game at Blackpool away is now being played on the Friday night the 28th, 8 p.m. kickoff, and that is on Sky Television. Just past the halfway point of the second half. It's been pretty flat, to be fair, this half. Both sides, I think, are aware of the value of a point to each of them. Nice take and turn by Zian Fleming in midfield. He's on the break. What can he do? Will he have a go? Tries to feed it through to Oliver Burke. Oh, he just tried to thread the eye of the needle there, but it's got away from Berkey, I'm afraid. He's gone for a throw-in to Luton. Little moment there, listeners. I thought Zian was on a run for a moment. One of the Luton's fans is a wanker, apparently. I can't see him, listeners, so I can't give you any more background on his wankiness. But I'm going to take the verdicts of the West Upper at face value there. Game's got very scrappy last few minutes. It's Mill struggling to get any control of the ball. Luton really looking to break play up and stumble their way through to whatever the game might present them with between now and the last 16 minutes of the game, between now and the finish of it. No signs of any changes from the Millwall bench at the moment. It's been a full-blooded contest. Referees played a part in the sense that he's let a lot of challenges go. It's been a physical, hard game. Minimal chances, really. This is a throw-in for Luton inside the Millwall half. Billy Mitchell warming up. Good to see Billy back in the squad. Free kick. Saville gets clumped, rolling around, clutching his knee. To be Zian Fleming territory, listeners. His free kicks has not been terribly good in recent times. Be a good day to, try and turn that around. Here we go. Zian to take. Oh, chipped it over the bar on the left side near the top left-hand corner of the goal, but it was wide. Luton pressing forwards now. Long throw, finds a man in space. That's slap shot on target, and George Long did well to bat that down, listeners. It was a very tight angle. The 78 minutes, did well to get that on target, and he done well to save it. Here we go then. Long throw from Ryan Leonard. Not terribly long. Body's going flying. Coldblow Lane howling for a penalty, not going to get it. Another ball into the box. Goalkeeper punch is clear. Saville trying to find SA. He's going to have man covering it, unfortunately. Ball forwards from Saville. It's headed back into the fray. Nicely done again by Jill Saville, driving forwards. Roman SA now on the right side. He's twisting and turning. Ball into the box. That's headed clear. Nice stuff by Roman SA. What a player he looks to be, listeners. This is Shackleton. Going to be a free kick for Millwall. Looks like Saville's taken another clip. 88 minutes. Dangerous looking free kick. It's nearly on the right side of the penalty area, about 3 or 4 yards short of the pen. It's going to be Scott Malone to take it. It's floated into the near post. That's a poor ball in truth. Falls to SA. Does well to get any kind of traction on that. It's lumped back into the middle. Carroll howling for a penalty. That was Cooper being manhandled. We ain't getting nothing of that, listeners, I'm afraid. Inject a note of realism into your day if you haven't realised that yet. We're ticking towards the last minute of the added time, listeners. Presuming it finishes this way, which is looking highly likely with 50 odd seconds to go. I suppose both sides will regard a point as a pretty good outcome. Certainly if you'd have asked both managers at the start of the afternoon if they'd have taken a point, they probably would have done. Millwall had the better chances. The early chance to Oliver Burke springs to mind, and then that moment in the second half for Vogie. Otherwise it's not been many opportunities, but play is still continuing here. This is Joel Saville, does try to do a little overhead flick there. Man of the match. It's been a defensive battle, really, isn't it? I've quite liked a ball falls to Roman SA on the right side. What can he do? He gets a cross in. It falls to over the head of Zian. Unfortunately, listeners, it's got away from him. That should be it, I think. Hard to pick a man of the match. It's been a pretty good team effort overall. I've quite liked central defenders. Quite liked the central midfielders. I went for Ryan Leonard, I think, up there at West Brom. Not a bad shout for today. He's given everything he's got to give. Tom Bradshaw's not stopped running up front with very little to feed upon. Jill Saville, I'm going to go with Jill Saville, but you could take your pick from any of the central defenders today. There it is, full-time Millwall 0, Luton 0. Pretty good result in the bigger picture. Perhaps a slight sense of anti-climax, I don't know. As it is, that will reinforce Mill's position. Other games will take place later on this afternoon. There we are, Millwall 0, Luton Town 0. Both teams shaking hands at the end of a pretty robust game.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back to the show, dear listeners. Joining me now to review that rather anticlimactic 0-0 draw is Graham Payne. Did you find it well, it wasn't climactic, Graham. Did you find it anticlimactic this afternoon, mate?
Yeah, hello, Nick. Yeah, I did find it a bit anticlimactic as well. Yeah, the main issue for me now is 3 games, no goals, and it is a worry for me. Now, we didn't really create much today, really, I don't think. There was a couple, obviously the Burke one in the first minute, and then the Vogelshammer when he done about 3 pirouettes, didn't he, before, straight at the goalkeeper. But
yeah, I mean, I've written it on my show notes here. 270 minutes, Graham, without a goal, which is a concern, isn't it? But there we are. Other results weren't so kind to us. Norwich won today at Blackburn, so they've narrowed the gap between Blackburn and ourselves. So after that 0-0 draw this afternoon, listeners, we're on 62 in 5th position. Norwich City now in 7th. They're going to be our nearest rivals, maybe even Preston, I suppose. Preston has crept up to 8 on 59. So, basically, I suppose I'm caught in 2 minds on this, Graham, because on the one hand, it's what we've come to call rowett ball, which is a certain style of defensively minded football, isn't it? I mean, long ball, played relentlessly, because in the Gary Rowett philosophy, we don't have the flair players that can do anything other than make the most of themselves within this fairly rigid and quite old-fashioned approach, really. It's a bit like, reminds me of 1988, because it is a fairly long ball approach, albeit with less, skillful players than we had back then. On the one hand, you'd say that it's that's got us here, and we're now, with 6 games to go, we are sitting in the playoff spots. But equally, we've got to start taking games by the scruff of the neck a little bit. And you're right, because we don't create many chances, Graham, do we? But when we do create them, we've got to take them, and we're not doing that. That is a concern. I thought the Burke chance in the first minute? It was very early on. I can't remember what.
Yeah,
I thought that was a screamer. That should have been put away. I suppose then you've got a different game on your hands. And Vogelshammer, well, yeah, same. If they're being paid as professional strikers, you've got to take your chances when they come your way. And it's funny, because I was thinking there's a 0-0 draw this afternoon where we're left slightly, I don't know if deflated is the right word. A 0-0 draw last weekend up there at West Brom, we were walking away feeling pretty good about ourselves. It's strange how the same result can induce two different mindsets. But I think today's one got away from us a little bit at times. We just didn't create enough, did we?
No, we didn't. It was very. I think every time Zian got the ball, he seemed to be caught in 2 minds what ball to play. It wasn't one of his better games. I think Burke, and I know Burke gets a lot of stick, but I don't think Burke's used how Burke wants to be used, where only once, I think, Zian played a ball on what he can run onto, and that's Burke's strength.
Yeah.
And we don't seem to play to that. And I know there's times, and I agree, that he bottles in tackles and things like that, but if you're going to play him, then at least try and play to his strength. Well, I don't think we do.
No. I mean, but Burke is a very modern player, in my opinion. And what I mean by that, listeners, is he's not your old school Millwall player that will get stuck into tackles. I take my hat off to the likes of Fleming, because he does put himself about physically, even though he's a flair player. But going back to Burke today, I actually think it was one of his better games for us. Now, that's not to say you're going to get, Harry Cripps style tackling out of him because that's not his game, Graham, and
No.
he would see himself as not being paid for that kind of work. But I think you're right about using his pace. We tend to hit long balls up in the air as though we've still got Teddy and Cass up front,
Yeah.
and we don't. You got the best. You've got Tom Bradshaw, who I think will run himself. He is running himself into the ground at the moment on our behalf. And to some level, I thought today Oliver Burke didn't do badly. Really, it was one of his better games. You could argue that he hasn't put enough into some of the previous performances, but today you couldn't say that. He got applauded off the pitch, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which I think is a step forwards for the boy, because that's always been so for him. But I mean, some poor control at times as well. I mean, I thought Luton, on the other side of the coin, Graham. I mean, Luton didn't really create much, did they? They didn't have many chances. I can't think of any direct chance off the top of my head. Did they have anything that I'm missing? I can't remember it. If so,
one shot from distance at Long pushed away in the second half.
He did.
But
He batted it
I
away.
can't think of
You're
anything
right.
else. But I know people were saying, "Oh, Luton are a good side and all that." But if you gave me Luton in the playoffs, semi-final, I'd think,
Yeah.
I'll take us against Luton. I would. I don't. They may look, I don't see anything really threatening. Even the game at Luton, I know people were saying we were lucky to be 2-0 up, probably were. But at 2-1, I thought we were in total control of that game until all the substitutions, and then they got a goal right at the end. So maybe I'm not seeing what people are seeing with Luton. They've done well when to get in the playoffs, and I think they're more or less in the playoffs now. They've got 6 points over us.
Well, I think that as good as,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose in a similar way to ourselves. I mean, people would say that they're making the most of very, very limited resources, as we are, and as they are. So, I don't have a problem with Luton. I make you right. I mean, we should have won the game at Kenilworth Road. We got ourselves 2-0 ahead, and it was criminal that we let that 2-0 lead slip. We really should have won it today, really, on the balance of chances, direct chances created. But with the away game and now the home game, it's our own failings that have let us down. We can't really say we were outplayed by the opposition. But it's the failings are there and have been there all season, Graham. I mean, someone posted, and I think it might have been Gavin, called it a very boring display. And I think others have posted similar reviews online, watched it on telly. I can't imagine it was much of a TV extravaganza today. It didn't feel as bad a game in the Den as it did. I'm guessing those that watched it on TV might have found it pretty tedious. In the Den, I think there was a sense of tension because it was a big game. It never quite ignited, but it didn't feel as bad a game in the Den. I don't know if that's right or wrong way to look at it. It didn't feel as bad a game as some people are describing online. It was a committed game. I mean, the referee let a lot go out there, Graham, didn't he, today? It was a very free and easy approach by the referee. Unusual. I mean, I kind of like it, but if it don't work for you, then you complain. I mean, the big one was that penalty shout. I think there was ones earlier on, which I didn't really see.
Nick, in the second half on Cooper. The first one was worse from the long throw.
Was it? I've not seen it. I've not seen that clip. I've just seen the 89th minute one.
No, there was one earlier where it was a long throw from Leonard, and the centre half just basically grabbed hold of Cooper around the waist, pulled him down. It was, what Cooper's got to do to get a penalty is beyond me. I mean, like at West Brom last week, the geezer practically pulled his shirt off, didn't he?
No, it's rugby tackling. I don't understand. I mean, having seen the 89th minute clip back, I mean, it looks a pretty good shout for a penalty. Didn't get enough of a view of the one that you've just described, and I haven't seen any TV clips. It might come out tomorrow morning when the YouTube footage comes out. But I don't know. It's a very good question. What do we have to do to get a penalty when a player is? It's not even. He's not even going down easily. He's being rugby league tackled, isn't he? He's being, arms round him and manhandled to the floor.
And the referee is right there. It's not as though he's not seeing it. He's seeing it, and he's just, I don't know. I really don't know.
I'd love to know what goes through their minds. I mean, I was speaking to Michael the previous show, and he does a bit of refereeing, and I think one of the things he was
trying to ask people to think about, I suppose it's a form of defence, if you like, is that referees are slaughtered for not being consistent. I mean, they're consistently not giving Jake Cooper any penalties, that's for sure. So they're good on the consistency front. I'll give them all that much. But it does beg the question: what's he got to do? What's got to happen to him to draw a whistle? I don't know. It fascinates me. I think Gary Rowett mentioned that in his post-match press conference, which I would expect him to at least mention it in passing. So I don't know where it goes. It was mentioned online that it wasn't a particularly attractive game. I don't know how to put it for the listeners, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. We've got 6 games of the regular season to go, and possibly 2, maybe 3 playoff games to go, Graham. I can't see us suddenly turning ourselves into AC Milan 19 mid-90s. Can you? I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, Romain Esse came into the game late today. He's about as close as we've got, apart from Zian, really, to an attractive top-level talent. For reasons, I mean, I wonder if we will see him. We do need to win a few games. I mean, the results today have not entirely gone badly, but certainly Norwich are creeping up and Preston are creeping up. So we want to really go to Hull, Graham, and get a result. And we do need to score goals to get that result, don't we? So we do need to start thinking about goal scoring at some stage soon.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, I know that I've said it a couple of times in the chat, but I think he's got. Is he going to start Esse? I know he's coming on for 10 minutes, but is it worth giving him a go longer? We've got to start scoring goals again. We're not going to get in a playoffs by drawing 0-0 all the time, are we? And I mean, the next home game is now a lot bigger than what it was going to be. Preston, because they're right in the mix.
Yeah, because they're contenders. It's suddenly become a fixture now. I don't know. I mean, going back to Romain Esse, I mean, Gary Rowett, in accordance with the old school manager's handbook, doesn't seem to trust youth, does he? He seems to go for experience, which is, so sometimes you feel like creaking in your bath chair with all this, because I mean, obviously he's gone for Leonard and Saville on the basis of experience in the defensive midfield slots. But going forwards, I mean, you're talking about Watmore, Vogelsammer, and Burke, who didn't do so badly today. But none of those 3 players, Graham, have really excited in the same way that Romain Esse has excited when he's come into we've only seen glimpses of him, but when he does come in,
I think
he illuminates. Suddenly you think, you want to see him get the ball.
Yeah.
What can he do with it?
Yeah.
The boy's inventive,
I think also because he's come.
I don't know.
He's come through the youth, hasn't he? He's a Millwall player, and I think someone with a bit. It was exciting like that. You want to see more of him. Now, it's going to be a big call on Monday. Does he start him, or does he keep him on the bench? Because I think he might be. I think he's got to just chance it. What we're going to lose by just giving him a go for one game. I don't see how he's going to be any worse than the 3 you've said: Vogelsammer, Watmore, or Burke. He's not, is he? To me, but
I was surprised at Honeyman being dropped today.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was.
again, not a playground that excites me particularly, but he'll give you industry. He'll give you plenty of running, and he doesn't let his head drop particularly. So I was surprised to see him come out. Burke didn't do as badly as many might have thought he would have done today. It wasn't earth-shattering, but he certainly gave a good account of himself. Vogie, I don't know what I make of Vogie sometimes. I want to love him. I want him to be this kind of cult hero, but you've got to do something at some stage to justify your cult hero status. And that chance went begging. That was screaming to be poked home.
Yeah.
And to fart about like he did, unforgivable, I think. So no, I don't know. I mean, if SA can't get in front of any of those 3, then I don't know what to make of football management. It seems to be like pin the tail on a donkey. Otherwise, there we are. On to Hull on Monday. It's a big game now on Monday. I think we need a win up there, Graham. I
do.
Draws will sustain us for much longer. Not with Preston and Norwich now creeping up on our blind side. So we've got to go to Hull. We've got to win, in my opinion, and we need to create goals. Now, if Gary Rowett's listening, and I'm sure he does, then that takes me to a conclusion that you start the talent. You put the boy out there and tell him to go and express himself, see what he can do. You can always bring Watmore or Vogie on if it gets, if it doesn't work, can't you?
I think he'll bring Honeyman back to play at home at one side, and then he plays on the other side. That's going to be his thing. And I think, by the looks of it, I think Leonard will be out because I think he's injured his groin, I think, and so Billy Mitchell will be back.
He's a fragile player, Leonard, isn't he? I mean, he gives you 100%, but we've got too many. I think for going forwards, whatever becomes of this season, Graham, we've got too many players that are just fragile. I mean, obviously Mason Bennett is another one that is slowly nursing a recovery, and Ryan Leonard. I like him as a player, but he just gets injured so easily. Becomes a bit of a problem. Hull City away Monday.
Well,
fingers crossed. Do you think we're going to do it?
I think
we're going to do it
because I tell you why. I don't know what's happened, but it's all turned around now. We're now playing much better away from home. The last 11, I looked at 11 home games. We've only won 3 games at home since we beat West Brom in October. We've won 3 home games. Now the away we've won 7, I think. So I think we'll. I think we'll go to Hull and get a result. I do. Yeah.
Rowett ball requires you to soak up the pressure, which at home doesn't. We do struggle when we've got to take the game to the opponent, and there just isn't the inventive talent across the side really. Everyone's tryhards, but there's very little inventive talent. You get past Zian, and now we've got the kind of the prospect of Roman Esse. Then there's not really much else beyond that that's going to unlock the 2 banks of 4 or the Neil Warnock type setup. So I suppose that's just the way it is. It's not going to change now, listeners. We've got 6 games of regular football to go, and then who knows, playoff style. I think we'll do it on Monday, Graham. I think we're going to go to Hull City and we'll get a win there. I've nailed my colours to the mast, listeners. Big thank you to Graham Payne taking time out of his working evening, joining me on the show. Appreciate it, mate.
No problem.
Big thank you to all the voicemail contributors that are going to follow Graham and my conversation now. So until the next edition of Achtung Mill, we'll see what we can do on Monday after Hull. I'm not going to go up there for that one, listeners. I'm going to try and get away to Wigan now on the 22nd. So Hull will have to try and get a stream or something to see how we get on there. But fingers crossed till Monday. Big thank you, Graham, in the meantime. All the best, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Hello?
Hi, Nick. Jim Hackett here. Just thought I'd wait till the end of the rest of the games this afternoon before sending in my comments about today's game, just to see where we end up at the end of the day. And ultimately, we've not ended up too bad. I know Preston have sort of closed the gap. Norwich have closed the gap, but I think you can look at West Brom getting knocked out of it, and that's one of the better teams, I think, who might have stood a chance of catching us. So back to today's game, I thought it was a real ugly game by 2 teams who were just concentrating on not losing the game. If Burke had put that early chance away, and I don't know what he was doing, whether he should have shot or controlled it, but he didn't actually do either, and it was a shame because that would have given us a great start and got everybody up for it. For the rest of the game, I thought it was really two hard-working sides. Both defences worked well, both midfields worked well, and it was up at the other end in the final third where neither side looked like they had a lot. I think for us, we up and puff a little bit, but that lack of quality in the final third did catch us out. I think SA coming on, as late as it was, he did show a little bit of maybe something that we do need in the remaining games, because he gave us a little bit of quality. He gave us something different that we haven't seen, and we didn't see it with Burke, and we don't generally see it with our wide players. I think looking at the team he selected, you can see why he did what he did, but unfortunately if Burke misses that first one after that, even though he was in the game, he was never as dangerous as he was at that one particular time. I think going forward, hopefully SA will get a run against Hull, because I think he's the key to something that might be good for us. I think going through our team again, I thought, strangely enough, I thought our back four played well, but they started the first 10, 15 minutes looking very iffy to me. I don't know if Hutch coming back in just made it slightly awkward for everybody, but he ended up doing quite well. I thought Cooper did okay. Danny McNamara not really in the game as much today. I think his passing from the back at times was a little bit looser there, and I think they could have caught us out if they were a better team. I think Murray actually is the one player I think that's actually coming out of all these recent games looking better and better. I think he does what he can. He defends well. He tries to get forward as much as he can, and he puts balls in a relatively into the right spot. So, not a lot of criticism there. I thought Leonard and Saville again did very well. Bit concerned that Leonard got injured towards the end, but ironically, he gets injured by the looks of it, and Billy Mitchell's fit again. So there's a natural swap over there. I think the substitutions possibly a little bit late for me. I think if he'd have brought SA on a little bit earlier, we might have seen a little bit more panicking from the Luton back line, because they didn't look like they could actually deal with him. He's unusual the way he plays. He doesn't play like a Millwall player, and I think it could be a key to us for the rest of the season against, in theory, what are lesser teams, and we need somebody who can unlock the door. Wide players, really, I think Vogie worked his knackers off today and didn't really look dangerous, but I think he had one nearly opportunity in the second half, and maybe if he'd have been a little bit more brighter as a striker, he might have done better with it. But overall, I think the game was a tough game for both teams. Luton obviously happy with a point because it keeps them right in the promotion race, and for us, I think we can't be too disappointed with a point against a playoff rival. I think what it comes down to now is the last few games, we've really got to start scoring goals. It's all right not losing them, but if we're not scoring goals either, then I think we're digging our own grave. I'm still confident that we'll get there, but I think we're making hard work of it, and hopefully that Luton game will be the last of the real tight teams that we're sort of happy to get away with a point with. And let's go on to Hull on Monday, and let's hope we get a win there. But the other results today, like I said, they haven't damaged us too much. Everything's still in our own hands. So come on, you Lions.
Harry Warren here with my thoughts on that draw with Luton Town on Good Friday in another 0-0. Nearly 7 days on from the 0-0 at West Brom. I think we should win that game. Our Oliver Burke doesn't score after a couple of minutes. Our Volkshammer doesn't score when he's through on goal. I don't know. Other than that, we were defensively solid. Saville, I thought, had another great game. I thought Leonard was decent in the middle as well. But again, I have to question the timing of the substitutions. I thought those were crying out for those a little bit earlier. Eze, when he comes on, gives us a totally different type of winger than Volkshammer or Ollie Burke, who I've completely run out of time for. He was a passenger if he was on the pitch for 75 minutes, he was a passenger for 73 of them. But there we go. I know why he's in the team. It's because he can run fast. That's seemingly all he does. But I think Eze is the real deal. I think Eze is the one that should be playing. And I know it's very difficult for us to turn around and dump him into the sharp end, and he's only playing under 18s England international football. But if we're not going to play our good young kids, when are we going to play our good young kids? And I think it's a vital thing. He is totally different. I would have liked to have seen him get more time than the 8 or so minutes that he got. I thought he put 3 crosses in his 8-minute cameo, which was 3 more than Burke and Volkshammer did all day. But no, I just think that hopefully the results go away this afternoon, and we can pick up 3 points on Monday and go from there. But we never make it easy on ourselves. It's going to be a long way to the end of the season. But I didn't see anything in Luton today that particularly scared me. So that's a plus point. But other than that, we roll on to Monday. Anyway then, come on the U-lines.
Hi Nick, it's Angelo mate, just got home from the game. Not really much to say really. Shit game, shit ref, shit atmosphere for a full house. Pretty boring really. Ref was a joke mate, fucking geezer had a Luton away top on as well. But somehow we got 2 points out of 9 and we're still in the mix. So onwards and upwards really. We just we've got through the difficult games. But you know, we always mess up with the ones we're supposed to win. But yeah, players. I thought Saville was unbelievable. I thought Saville was by far the man of the match, mate. So much work, so much determination, outstanding display from him. Fleming had a shitter. Vogie, don't get the people that back Vogie. To me, I'm never in a million years starting Vogie in front of SA, mate. SA comes over 10 minutes, does a couple of little things that gets the crowd up. The geezer's we've got to start the guy. We've got to just throw him in now. Vogie is just like the most bang average player ever, mate. And he had that great chance when he's through, and if he shoots first time, he's got a chance. But yeah, listen, a point against Luton, it's not the end of the world, and we've got winnable games ahead of us, so onwards and upwards. But yeah, just a bit of a shit day all round, really. But yeah, onwards. Oh, and it looks like we're going to lose. Leonard looked like a groin to me, so he's going to be out for a while because we know what he's like. When he gets injured, he disappears for quite a while, so that's going to be a shame because he's been playing well. So maybe Billy's come back just at the right time. But yeah, onwards and upwards, and let's hope we can get a result at Hull. All right, catch you later, Nick. Come on, you lines.
Matt Webb coming away from the Den after that 0-0 draw. Well, what can I say? That was a frustrating 0-0 draw. A bit different from the 0-0 that we had at West Brom, where we battled and we held out a very good West Brom team. We have a problem, I think. And the problem is teams that set their stalls out to not make us score. And so far, Luton did really well on that one. And Huddersfield done very well on that one. I think which is going to be a concern that we haven't scored a goal in 3 games. I thought today most of the players were a yard off the pace and didn't feel like they wanted to be out there. Would that be top 6 nerves? Would it be the fact that we're playing a team that are doing really well? I don't know. But Luton there for the taking, in my opinion. A couple of pop shots, and that was all they had. I'm not going to mention the referee, although, you know, I think I've seen better moves in WrestleMania than I saw on that pitch today. But some of the players out there just didn't care. They didn't want to be out there, and it took him 80 minutes to make those changes. For me, the changes were too late. Urgency in the last 10 minutes was better than the majority of the game. Come to some of the players. I thought George Saville had a very good game. My man of the match, in my opinion. Leonard, again, very good performance. However, I do believe Leonard's running in the Millwall shirt is going to come to an unfortunate end, because that's another injury that he's picked up and potentially that could be done for the season. You know, you've got to do better, Millwall. I'm sorry. You know, I might eat my words in a month's time when that could be a draw that was well earned. But coming away from the Den right now, I feel that is 2 points dropped. And we do need to sort our striking options out, because this ain't good enough. We need to start scoring goals. So roll on Monday, nice trip to Hull, and let's see if we can make amends. Come on, guys.
Hi Nick, John Rankin just calling in after the Millwall Luton 0-0 draw at home at the Den. Very interesting match. I think we might have just deserved a bit more out of it than we got. I thought we played well, and I thought Luton played well, to be honest. The one party that didn't play very well was the referee. I thought the referee was absolutely appalling. At one point, he didn't know what to do, and it centred on wrestling matches between the big two up front for Luton and Cooper and Hutchinson. And it was started by Luton. It was Luton holding on to our defenders while they tried to play the ball round them. And I think the referee needs to be demoted to, I don't know, Sunday League pub football. I think that was his level, really. I think with a decent referee, we would have one or two more free kicks, and I thought we would have scored. We knocked on the door quite a few times. Vogelsammer came close with a free kick. We huffed and puffed around the box. He put some good balls in there. But I've got to say, Luton defended very well. And it came away on us even. The best reflection is we didn't lose. So Luton are clearly a very good team. They've got some very, very good footballers. And I think on another day, with a more confident and competent referee, I think we'd have possibly come away with a 1-0 or a 2-0 win. I think this situation with Cooper, we've got to think outside the box here a little bit. And if I was Jake Cooper, I would just start clattering the opposition defenders in their box and really hurting them. And, he's not going to get a penalty, so he might as well really make it count and just knee in the small of the back and, start really bottling onto other players, because it's absolutely pointless. There was a clear penalty in the Coldblow Lane end, and I think even the linesman kind of thought about it and the referee just overruled him. Some might say they don't want us in the Premiership, but I think they might have to think twice. I hope Ryan Leonard recovers. He looks like he pulled his groin when he played a right-footed cross into the box, and I think he's been key. Although it was lovely to see Billy Mitchell come back. Roman Esse looked good. I think all our players are doing the very best they can. I think Danny Mack dealt with the pressure he was put under today as well as he could. It was a tough game for Danny there, and I think he did well on balance. So, all in all, we didn't lose. We could have won. Referee's an absolute joke. Come on, you Lions.
Hello Nick, Bill Slack here. I'm walking 4 grounds over the park. It's absolutely mobbed it is, with families enjoying each other's companies and enjoying a lovely spring evening. And I'm trying to walk off this really miserable mood I'm in. I've thought for a little while. I hate to be this bloke, but I think we're going to slip out. I've said for a while I don't think there's enough goals in the team. Not signing a striker in January. It looked like we'd got away with it the way Bradshaw was in February, but he does what Bradshaw does, and that's to have a glut of goals and then nothing at all. Not that I blame the fella particularly. He's a penalty area box striker. So I can't really blame him for not scoring. I can't really blame him when Murray Wallace insists on playing balls 3 foot over his head all game. That must have been instruction from the manager, but it defies any kind of logic. I'll tell you something else. I'm not having Burke. I've seen online some people saying that Burke had a good game. I don't know what drugs these people are taking before they come down to Millwall. Probably all of them. And after today, I think I'd quite like to join them. There's more work that fella don't get through than does, and that's always the case. He's got a turn of foot, rarely been seen in English football. I think that fella is rapid, but do you know what? That's all he's got, and he's not prepared to work. Really disappointing. We've got a bit of a group of teams forming up behind us now. We've stopped scoring. It's been a fantastic season. You can't moan about any of it really. But I think we're running out of steam, mate. I hate to say it, I really do. And please God, they proved me wrong on Monday up at Hull. We'll have to see. The other thing I'll say, we had this with Bury earlier in the season. Everybody calling on Bury to play, me included. I'd much rather have Etty in the side than Burke. That kid come on with 10 minutes to go. Imagine coming on a game like that and having the impact he did. He looked by far the most creative player that we had in 10 minutes, putting the best cross of the game. Of course, we didn't have a centre forward there to nod it in. I think we need to do something. We need to find a little bit of creativity. We need to find a little something different, because this plodding, workman-like performance, I think we've hit the wall with it. No pun intended. Anyway, I'll see you soon, mate. Come on, you Lions. Come on, boys.
Achtung, Millwall.